All right, thank you guys for joining us again for another Health Truth Life short video here. We're glad to be back. We've got another good one here for you today. My neck's a little bit stiff.
Yeah, my back
you all right?
hurts a little bit. Yeah.
A little uncomfortable?
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, so
a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about being uncomfortable and how being uncomfortable can point us to some necessary things to kind of get us motivated and moving and pointing us in the right direction. So we live in a time where everybody is striving to be as comfortable as they can 24/7. Like, let's live without discomfort, and the goal is to just be as comfortable as you can and not kind of learn and grow even. It's like, let's skip over the hard things and just be as comfortable as possible. So we're going to kind of dive into that and see where this conversation goes.
Absolutely. So yeah, discomfort, I think, overall can identify in patients or individuals or you or me or Jason that, hey, there's places where we can work on that can potentially get us more comfortable if we have, let's say, sleep issues, mental, emotional stress issues, other physical ailments where those areas of discomfort, like people who have, let's say, significant back pain, if it's related to obesity, they know that a predominance of their problem with their back pain is that they can lose weight, find a way to lose weight, their back pain goes away or goes way down, their knee pain goes away. So areas of discomfort in our lives physically or emotionally or spiritually can highlight to us where we can then look and tease out ways to strengthen the answers to those three questions. What am I putting in my mouth? What am I allowing in my mind? And what am I doing with my body continuously? So that's where areas of discomfort that we see can actually help, benefit that. I'll say in my life particularly, I do have days and certainly there's weeks and periods and seasons, that maybe a few days or weeks where I'm in degrees of discomfort, and part of that could be stress. It could be dealing with lack or difficulty with sleep during that week, or I even mentioned a couple weeks ago when we were talking about stress and anxiety that I had noticed I hadn't exercised in 8 or 9 days, and I was getting actually anxious and having to deal with more stressful, anxious type thoughts. And so, that's where I know that, look, when I have those degrees of discomfort, I need to check myself and go, okay, well, where can I dial some things in to be less or more comfortable, less discomfortable in certain areas. So that's kind of the first part I want to talk about. The second part of it is, hey, just like you were mentioning, we all want to be in that 72-degree environment where it's perfect humidity, perfect temperature, nothing, the chair is soft and everything's nice and comfortable. Got food coming to us and hydration, like all that stuff where, look, or we got a TV where we can watch TV all day and just veg on Netflix or what have you. Now that can be so comfortable that it leads to, I believe, physical, mental, emotional illness because you get so comfortable in doing nothing and just almost being like, I guess it'd be, I hate to say it, but like a slug. Where look, that then lends to, gosh, just eating yourself or pleasuring yourself with whatever you're taking in to your own demise, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all that stuff. So kind of want to talk about that on the back end, but the first end, just want to talk about how wherever you're uncomfortable, in certain areas of your life, that may mean, hey, look, we got to start teasing out, or you got to start teasing out where you're eating, thinking, and doing stuff with your body that's leading to that discomfort.
No, I think that's right. It's good that the pain that we feel and the discomfort that we're in is for a reason, and it can be used for good to wake us up to the physical needs, like you're saying. If you're feeling physical pain in certain areas and you haven't gotten off the couch in 9 days, if you, if you're not eating healthy and getting enough sleep, and you're feeling pain from that, that's a blessing. That's to alert you to the fact that you need to make some changes. You need to get off the couch and move, exercise. You need to stop, pounding cheeseburgers and pizza and sodas all the time and put some vegetables and, fruits and, good healthy proteins in your diet. So then two, the discomfort that we could feel, and we'll get into this too, is it leads us to recognizing a need for something bigger than ourselves and kind of beyond what we see around us. So to me, this is why we're blessed to kind of feel uncomfortable. Without the pain and the uncomfortable situations, we would just keep doing the things that we're doing and keep living on the couch and in these situations where we're just, I want to be as comfortable as I can be, consuming, yes, me. But because we feel pain and discomfort, it awakens us inside of us, our souls, to the reality that there is more to us than just our flesh and satisfying our flesh.
Great point. So great point. And I think you hit that so well, is just identifying that, look, we are looking for that which is outside of our physical well-being, because you notice, and I've had this discussion actually with a good friend this morning, that hey, a lot of people live their life waiting for that aha moment, where finally I've got enough money in the bank,
right?
I've made enough good decisions to have this, that, and the other aligned in my life. The relationships are working out perfectly. This, that, and the other have to finally be in that check box to then go, finally I've made it, now I can live.
Right, like I'm there, I did it.
Yeah. And how many people do you know that once they get to that point of succeeding or achieving that number or that relationship or that success story or that accomplishment, then all of a sudden they recognize, oh my gosh, I'm so empty now because everything I was striving for doesn't give me the fulfillment that I wanted to get out of it.
So we just talked about this right before. Solomon, the man who was the wealthiest man ever, he had access to everything, all the women he wanted, all the food he wanted, the clothes, the nicest house, castle, all that stuff. And what did he say? He said, it's vanity, it's meaningless. He got to that point. And then I was just thinking about, I think it was Warren Buffett that said, obviously a pretty wealthy man, one of the wealthiest. He was asked, how much is enough? And he said, just a little bit more, a little bit more. So you just hit it, you nailed it. There's never enough. We're not going to get to that point where we're like, I'm there, I did it. I checked all the boxes, and now I feel great. I'm perfectly comfortable. No, even those men get to the place where they realize, man, I'm still uncomfortable. I still don't feel full and satisfied. And again, this is what we're trying to get people to realize, and what I'm realizing and you're realizing is that was kind of it was by design for us to realize and see that we need something bigger than this world and ourselves can produce. I've heard it said that, and we've talked about this on a video before, but we all have a God-sized hole in our hearts that only God can fill. So no amount of money, no amount of status, productivity, sex, none of these things can fulfill that. Only God can. So our brokenness and our pain, I believe by design, point us to that. We're needy people, and fortunately we have a Savior who's come to fill that void and loves us and has a way for us to live peaceable, lives in Him.
Absolutely. So, going back to just the physical component of discomfort, and I love where you're going with this, by the way. Where do you see you have seen in your life where discomfort has led you to making changes that have benefited you?
So physically, struggling with back pain, as you know, for years and years. Had back surgery a few years ago. It definitely slowed me down and stopped, especially the last couple of years, looking at my diet. What am I eating? And then, stretching and movement. So the physical pain, and it's not sad. God had a plan through it all, but when going through the process of having the surgery and having to make those choices back then when I was in the worst pain, and it's funny because I believe now, if I knew then what I know now, I probably wouldn't have even had surgery. I would have made the choices, the diet, stretching, physical therapy. I would have done these different.
Let me beg a question. Pain scale before surgery, pain scale after surgery. Go.
Oh, for sure, it helped.
It did help. Good.
It helped, but it also hurt a little at the same time. Not physically, but I lost some mobility, and so I'm definitely in less pain, but I've lost some function,
And that's where it's. And I'm sorry. Go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you. Well, just the component that surgery. In my mom's case, oh my gosh, it was an absolute miracle cure. She went from consistent 10 out of 10 pain and neurogenic claudication, meaning her nerves were squeezed and kind of her legs were asleep half the day because of the spinal stenosis. She got freed from that with a huge 6-segment lumbar surgery. Went from 10 out of 10 pain to 0 out of 10 pain.
Whew, that's awesome.
Now that's not everybody's story. Some people actually have surgery and get worse. Some people get better. Some people have no change. And that's kind of what we see with medicine, that hey, there's things that we've done where hey, there's no benefit or there's very little benefit. Now sometimes it's patient obedience and not following through, but the point is, there are times when our medical therapies, as best as our intentions are, they fail. So kind of shows again that I guess the dire situation we're in as people of flesh, that our flesh is kind of day by day in a sense dying, right?
Ooh,
So
we talked about this before too, but there's some verses, I think they're in 2 Corinthians, where Paul says, therefore we do not lose heart, though outwardly we are wasting away, so our bodies are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. And so he says, so we set our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. Because what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal.
And then kind of it ties into just what we were saying before about the kingdom of God, the discussion we had earlier, just you and me. Kingdom of God is not of this world. So it's spiritual. It's that which is unseen. It's in a different realm, right? And so, so kind of to summarize that component of this is if you're in levels of discomfort, pain, psychic pain, spiritual pain, physical pain, or you're dealing with other health issues that many people are struggling with, whether it be inflammation, heart disease, high blood pressure, all these things. These are levels of discomfort that say, hey, look, your lifestyle has probably caused this. Genetics play a role in it as well, but it's just it's kind of like a come to reality moment where, look, changes have to be made to get you out of those areas of physical discomfort. To kind of shift gears though, I want to turn into the component of where in our life can we find areas of discomfort from our comfortableness to then benefit ourselves physically and emotionally. Any thoughts on that? Like, where do you see you do things that are uncomfortable, but you know it's the right thing to do, but also things that are going to benefit you going forward long-term, physically, emotionally?
I mean, do you mean like getting up? I get up a little bit earlier each day and, quiet time. I spend some time in prayer and reflection and reading. And then 2, I know a good one, I need to do this more. I've started it a little bit more, but exercise, pushing myself to where, when you're working out, it's not the most comfortable thing. You're feeling it and, your mind might be telling you, your body might be telling you, like, slow down, stop, but you got to push it. You got to keep, keep going and grinding. So getting up earlier for, spiritual growth, and then, exercising, pushing myself.
So when the alarm goes off, what time does it go off at?
5:30.
Okay. Do you go, okay, time to get up, boom, I'm out? Or do you kind of go, I can kind of like...
I have those days where it's a battle, but, lately it's been, I'm ready, let's do it. I know the benefit, I see the value, and I know that it's good, and I need it,
Every day you're doing, now Saturday and Sunday as well?
Nah, I'm pretty good about, I'll take a couple days to,
What devotion are you working through right now?
I'm actually doing the verse by verse through the Bible, and I'm on a plan that's like got me in Genesis, Leviticus, and Matthew right now. So
gotcha.
Leviticus is the tough one, but I like how this plan gets you, it mixes that in with Genesis and the New Testament, Matthew as well. So, it's good. So far it's been a great read, and I'm growing and learning.
And I certainly think turning that mind on, the mind and the spirit first thing in the morning is it's so beneficial for charting your day. Now it is uncomfortable to wake up earlier. It requires a set of discipline, but you kind of see how that whole concept of discipline leads to freedom, because the discipline you have to get up and do your morning, devotional and get your spirit right helps set the tone for the whole rest of the day.
For sure.
Because if you wake up harried and degrees of chaos and havoc, all of a sudden your day is kind of starts with that habit.
You worry more, you stress more. You're not. I feel that. Like, you can tell the difference. You feel it.
So the early discipline, the early pain you put yourself through creates comfort more for the rest of the day. And that's kind of like that. Just it's like it's a subtle irony of like the pain you put yourself through. Same with exercise.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. What I love about that is you can plan to get up each day and do the devotional, or plan to get up and work out.
Right.
Which will help you, pays dividends throughout the rest of your day. Like you were saying, you can't plan your circumstances. Like you don't know what the day is going to bring each day. But if you're prepared, if you take the time early in the morning and you've got your heart straight and your head straight, no matter what comes, you're like, man, like I can handle the stress, I can handle the worries. Like I know what to do with them and where to take them, you know? So, man, it's just, it is such a blessing. It's a wise thing to do, really is.
It is, yeah. And I think you taking care of yourself mentally, spiritually in the morning and physically. Now, it sounds like you're not doing really exercise in the morning with that, but I know some people will tie in that with exercise.
I struggle with the getting up in the morning to work out, you know. I usually have been like late afternoons, early evenings. I've been trying to help my boys get into a routine with lifting weights and working out, so we're trying that. And my wife and I are pretty good about walking after dinner. We try to go, 30 minutes to an hour, go for a nice long walk and get some fresh air. And
that's great.
So definitely huge benefits in that as well. And it's funny because you do have to get uncomfortable. A lot of times even, after dinner, we're like, I just want to go lay down and get comfortable, like put on the comfy clothes, be done for the day, but it's like, no, let's go outside, push ourselves a little bit. And it's so great. We always enjoy it, have good conversation, and you feel better when you're done,
And all of a sudden at that point, whenever you do finally relax and shut it down, it almost is like, hey, you know what? I earned this. As opposed to kind of like, I'm stealing it. I didn't do anything today. I've been a slug. But now I'm going to go, be soft and kind of watch TV all night. Just it's a totally different dynamic in the sense of almost, when you do get that chance to shut it down, if you've worked hard that day, it is kind of like, hey, you know what? I earned this.
Yeah.
And so
you probably you're right, more comfortable, like better sleep. You're not, you don't have so much rushing through your head and you're worried or thinking about things. You're like, man.
So other things that people will do to be uncomfortable and put themselves in uncomfortable situations that make them then more comfortable in their body, I believe, are hard exercise routines. I believe periods of cold exposure or heat exposure that challenge the body physically, but also mentally. To make yourself jump in a cold pool or do a cold shower or an ice bath, those are uncomfortable environments, but they actually reap benefits physically, and I believe mentally and emotionally, with a component of the spiritual of like, again, I don't want to go too far down this hole of making it seem like it's some new age thing, but I really do think that us controlling and navigating our thoughts and really taking them into obedience and not letting them get away from ourselves and telling ourselves that, hey, we can jump into uncomfortable situations and know that we're going to make it through there. That then gives us kind of the freedom to feel like that, look, we're doing stuff other people aren't doing. So you get a degree of self-respect, I think, and also you reap the benefits. Like, for example, cold exposure that we've talked about before, it improves neurochemistry. It increases dopamine and norepinephrine and kind of alert chemicals in our brain, while also improving metabolism. It actually increases your body temperature and actually leads to brown fat metabolism, and potentially overall improves your ability to tolerate different environments going forward, So
longevity too, aren't there studies that cold exposure is increased age, like longer?
I don't know about that.
So we just watched, I saw this, we just watched, it's kind of going to sound funny now, but on Disney Plus, there's a show called Limitless, and it's Chris Hemsworth, the guy who plays Thor. And he was actually, he was with a functional medicine doctor doing this little documentary thing, and he's doing cold exposure. Like I forget where they are, Antarctica, Alaska, there's ice everywhere, there's ice floating in the water, and he has to psych himself up to be able to swim 250 yards in this water, like icy water. And they go through all the science of it, and they talk about how this, if you do this along with obviously diet and all these other things, there's been studies that have shown like living longer, like it's going to increase your chances of living a longer, healthier life. But anyways, he ends up doing it, and he does it, and since then he saw the benefits and they were so good for him. Like he's been doing the cold exposure, the ice baths, and then every shower he takes now, he says at the end, the last couple minutes, he's going straight as cold as he can take. So, but yeah, it's interesting. Limitless. You got to look at this. We'll talk about that later too. There's a lot of good stuff on it.
Certainly is. Yeah. And so, again, like I think of periods of time that you do put yourself into uncomfortable situations. It benefits you emotionally and mentally. I believe also for those people who are struggling with depression or low self-esteem or things like that, you get them out doing something that they didn't think they can do. Man, you get them to lift a weight or do a job or help go serve somebody that they didn't think that they had anything to offer. Then all of a sudden,
in them, and
it does. So it's so interesting. I'm going to share a funny story. I got the opportunity to speak at a Governor DeSantis event last January in Panama City, and I remember I was super nervous before getting the opportunity. I stayed here at the office, kind of preparing the talk, the night before. And I said, gosh, I'm going to leave at like 9 o'clock the next morning. And it was cold outside. And I was like, you know what I'm going to do? The next morning, I'm going to squat and lift weights. I lifted heavy weights that morning. And then I jumped in my pool, which was like 56 degrees at the time, and swam in the pool. And it was funny, as I was sitting at the event waiting, I was the last person to get to talk. I remember looking at the audience, and this isn't prideful. It's not. I just sat there, though, and I was filled with confidence. I'm saying, one, what I'm speaking today is truth. I feel very confident about giving this talk and speaking on the blessing of liberty, and also the ability for people to choose to do whatever they decide to do with their body for medical procedures. And I believe in my circumstance, I was very comfortable with my decision. Going back though, I looked around in the audience. I said, you know what? I wonder how many people today have squatted the weight that I did, and we're in a cold pool this morning. I said, it's probably not. Nobody. Like, I'm the only one here. Hey, Governor, were you in the cold pool this morning? Now again, it's not to say that I'm any better, but it's a component of, you know what? I'm doing something hard that someone else isn't doing. And it's like there's always someone else out there that's doing something harder than me. Believe me. You see about people like David Goggins and stories that are just incredible physical feats. But the point is, like I would say, if you are too comfortable, find places where you can get uncomfortable to then benefit your physical and emotional well-being and also your own degree of self-respect. Because when you're looking yourself in the mirror, you want to look into the mirror and go, I know that I'm doing stuff that, hey, God gave me the ability to use this body in strong ways to help lead myself and my wife and my family and my kids and my community. Man, I got one opportunity to do this. Go after it, man. Go after it and do it, and put yourself in uncomfortable situations and see what God does with your faith. Yeah. Because He's faithful.
Yeah. We're not guaranteed tomorrow, so get out there and do it. Don't wait. You're right. Today is the day.
Exactly. So
I like it.
So, summarize. Discomfort can identify places where you may need to find ways to answer those questions better. What you're putting in your mouth, what you're allowing in your mind, and what you're doing with your body. But once you're getting to that point of where your health is benefited, find other places where you can get uncomfortable to then get to that next level of health and wellness and strength, I'd say.
Yeah. Enjoy the benefits of being uncomfortable. There's a lot of good in it, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually.
And also down below, if you get a chance, put where you find areas of you being uncomfortable to then benefit your overall physical, emotional, spiritual well-being. And so like and subscribe. We appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great day. Any last thoughts, buddy?
No, we're good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.